Welcome to the Time Out with Jeff Sports Podcast, with your one and the only, Jeffrey L. Mangle Jr. Hey, sports fans, I'm coming to you with a new episode of the Time Out with Jeff Sports Podcast. Hey, I just want you to let you know, we talked about basketball, we talked about a little bit of free agency, but now we're about to switch gears and talk about NFL. That's right, I'm about to switch gears and talk about these NFL teams, but I'm going to start off with my Dallas Cowboys. We're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys in this segment, and I hope you are ready. Hey, training camp is right around the corner. That's right. Training camp is right around the corner. July 28th, I believe the Cowboys kick off training camp in Oxnard, California. Training camp kicks off soon. I can't wait. I know you can't wait for all you Cowboy Nation fans, all you Cowboy haters, and anybody that just love to talk about the Cowboys. Hey, before we get started, I just want you to know that, hey, the Cowboys are going to do some special things this year. Not going to say what. Not going to say what, but we're going to do some special things this year. So just stay tuned. Stay tuned to those special things. But hey, we all know the Cowboys have had one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL for some time now. Even back when Tony Romo was behind the center, Aikman, and then now you got my man Dak Prescott, better known as Dakota Rain Prescott. Hey, Dak came into the league in 2016, and the offense has not missed a beat since he's been in the league with his man, his good friend Ezekiel Elliott. But hey, we know they're a prolific offense. We know that they can score points. We know they can move the ball up and down the field. But can they do it when it counts? Can they do it when it counts? Hey, a few things I want to know is, can they do it when it counts? Hey, but according to Pro Football Focus, the Cowboys' offensive projections will be as follows. They listed 4 players that they projected for their numbers for the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, you got Dak Prescott, you got Ezekiel Elliott, you got Tony Pollard, and you got now the new lead receiver in Cowboy land, CeeDee Lamb. So Pro Football Focus has looked at those 4 particular Cowboys and projected their 2022 offensive numbers for the season. I'm going to start out with Dak Prescott of what Pro Football Focus projected. They project Dak Prescott to have 4,700 yards. To be exact, 4,706 passing yards on the season. Many of you might be looking at that and saying that's a lot of yards. That's almost close to 5,000 yards. But hey, we're going to look at his numbers since he's been in the league. But I'm just going to let you know, when I broke that down by per game average, that's only 276.8 yards per game. So I believe PFF is on to something. Their projections is not off, because 4,706 yards, passing yards for the season, it's only averaging 276 per game. Being that we are in a passing league, the rules favor the offense. So 276 yards per game, that's easy. He could easily get that in a half. Not to mention in a game, but he can get that in a half, the way the league is set up now. So they had Dak Prescott predicted at that. They got Zeke projected to go 1,329 total yards. Not rushing yards, total yards. That's a big difference. So they're talking about that's the combined with his rushing and his receiving. So 1,329 rushing yards. We go touch base a little bit on Zeke. But I'm going to give you the other projections on the other 2 players that PFF looked at. Tony Pollard, 983 total yards. CeeDee Lamb, 1,314 receiving yards. Now, maybe looking at that and saying, hey, he's never been a lead receiver since he's been in the NFL. He had Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup to help him take some of the pressure off. But if you look at the per game average for CeeDee Lamb to get 1,300 plus yards, that's only 77.29 yards per game. And he should be able to get that in his sleep. If CeeDee Lamb can't average little over 77 yards a game in his in his lead receiving role. He don't need to be the lead receiver. He should be able to get that in his sleep. But back to Dak Prescott, when we look at his numbers since he came into the league at 2016. 2016, he threw for 3,667 yards. That was his rookie season, by the way. 2017, he threw for 3,324 yards. 2018, 3,885 yards. 2019, he surpassed the 4,000 mark, threw for 4,902 yards. So he was almost at 5,000 yards in 2019. And like you said, PFF, which is Pro Football Focus, they project him to throw for 4,706 yards. Now, in 2020, that was the season he got injured after 4 or 5 games. He was on pace to go for about 5,000 yards. He threw at that time 1,856 yards, but that was the year he got injured and everything fell apart for the Cowboys. And then just last year, 2021, he went for 4,449 yards. So back to, like I said, his projected numbers for this upcoming season is 4,706 yards, which is a 276.8 yards per game average. We know he's going to have some 300-yard games. Like I said, it's a passing league. So I believe Pro Football Focus got those numbers right. You tell me what you think. Come in the comment section below on that. Now, to my man Zeke, they projected 1,329 yards total yards. But let's look at Zeke's rushing yards, just clearly rushing yards since he's been in the NFL in 2016. He was a first round pick, number 4 overall with the Cowboys. He came into the league same year as Dak. So they came into the year same year. That rookie year was 2016. His rookie year, he went for 1,631 yards. 1,631 yards as a rookie. Those are some awesome numbers. But he had a downfall. And I can't remember. I had to do a little bit more research on what happened that year in 2017. He only went for 983 yards. I think he set out the last game of the season, or he was suspended or some to that nature. But he didn't reach 1,000 yards. But then he comes back in 2018. He goes for 1,434 yards. Another 1,000+ yard rushing season. 2019, 1,357 yards. Another 1,000+ rushing season. 2020, that was the same year that Dak went out injured. Zeke still finished with 979 yards. So he's not really off. He's still productive in my opinion, in my eyes. And then just last season, he barely surpassed 1,000 yards at 1,002 yards. Now, when it comes to Zeke, when it comes to his production, a lot of people feel like, hey, he needs to share the load a little bit more with Tony Pollard. And hey, I agree with you. I agree with you all out there who's knocking on the door for Tony Pollard to get more opportunities. But hey, before we get into that, we're going to talk about Tony Pollard numbers. Now, he's projected to have a total of 983 yards on the season. Now, he came into the league as a rookie 2019. 2019, you're not expecting nothing from him. I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe my 4th round pick that he came at. He only got 455 yards that season rushing. That was a year that Zeke went for 1,357. So, hey, Zeke was productive. He's going to touch the rock. It's just natural. If Zeke getting 1,357 yards, hey, Pollard not going to see many opportunities. So he only had 455 rushing yards this season. Then the second season, he dropped down 20. But that's the same season, like I said, that Dak Prescott went out injured. So Pollard got 435 yards rushing. Now this year, he had somewhat of a breakout year, if you want to call it that. He rushed for 719 yards on the season, this past season, Tony Pollard. We know he has that burst. He has that acceleration. He has that different change of pace that we need from our running back. Zeke is a bruiser. We need that Tony Pollard change of pace. So, hey, those are his numbers. Now we go to my man CeeDee Lamb Chops. He came into the league a year after Pollard. Remember, he wasn't even expected to fall to the Cowboys at the number, I think 17 pick it was, 16 to 17 pick in the first round. But anyway, he wasn't even expected to fall to the Cowboys. He fell to us in the 2020 draft. In his first season, he almost passed 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie. He finished with 935 yards. And then on last year, he went over 1,100 yards. To be exact, he had 1,102 yards as a number 2 receiver. Now, PFF, which is Pro Football Focus, has CeeDee Lamb projected to go for 1,314 receiving yards, which I said at the top of the show is only 77.29 yards per game. Say, man, if he's a lead receiver, he can't average 77 yards per game, he doesn't need to be the lead receiver, or something is wrong with the offense. I look at that as if you just break it down by a quarter, that's only 20 yards per quarter. He should get that with ease. 20 yards per quarter. One reception could be 20 yards. He averaged 20 yards per quarter. That's 20, 40, 60, 80. That's just 77 yards per game. Come on. Whoever feel like these numbers are off, talk to me, please. Please come in the comment section below and tell what you think. Tell me if Pro Football Focus is way off. But now, let's look at it here. So, I'm going to get to my man Zeke. Now, since Pro Football Focus said he's going to have a total of 1,329 yards, let's look at his receiving yards just in 2021. He had a total of 287 receiving yards. So if you take those away from the 1,329 total yards, Zeke should get 1,042 rushing yards if he has 287 receiving yards in 2022. So if Pro Football Focus is saying he's going to have a total of 1,329 yards, if you look at his receiving numbers from last season, you take those receiving numbers and you kind of subtract the numbers, that's 287 receiving yards he should get. So that means Zeke should rush for 1,042 yards this season. It's doable. Hey, I've seen his workout films. He's been putting in work. Seems like he's slimming down, whatever the case may be. Seems like he's living more healthy because word on the street is he played with a slight ligament tear in his knee last year. Even though they didn't sit it down, he still played with a slight ligament tear. So, hey, now my man Tony Pollard, in his receiving yards, he had 264 receiving yards. Now, we know he's more of a receiving threat than my man Z, just because he can get out in space a little bit better. But hey, those numbers are right on track for his total of 983 rushing yards. Hey, we just going off according to Pro Football Focus of what they project the Cowboys' offensive numbers will be for these 4 players. But hey, before we move forward, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hey, you've been listening to the Time Out with Just Sports podcast with the one and only your host, Jeff L. Mangum Jr. We've been talking about what Pro Football Focus has said about the Cowboys' offensive predictions for 2022. But hey, now, we know many times when you're watching a game, you hear people say the Cowboys' offense is predictable. And I feel that to be true. Just looking at some numbers here, some startling numbers, some mind-boggling numbers here. I'm looking at just in 2021, 71% of the time when Dak was under center, we ran the ball. And I say we is because I'm a Cowboy fan. If you haven't noticed with all the paraphernalia around here. But anyway, we ran the ball when Dak was under center 71% of the time. That's too predictable. 73% of the time when Dak was in the shotgun, we was passing. So if defensive coordinators figure out, oh, he's under center or he's in shotgun, they already know what's coming. We need to be less predictable in 2022. We need to be less predictable. So I pose a few questions for you sports fans. Like I said, you tell me what you think. You comment on these questions. You give me your opinion. Will the offense have balance? And when I say balance, run, pass, or pass, run, however you want to say it. We need to either pass 35 to 30. That means 35 passes, attempts, 30 runs. Dak shouldn't be slinging the ball around 50 times a game. And if you got two dynamic backs in Zeke and Pollard, we should at least be running the ball 30 times a game. 30 times a game. If they split it up 15-15 or whatever the case may be, 20-10, whatever the case may be, our run pass need to be 35 pass, 30 run. Or it need to be 40-30 or 40-35. We need to have some offensive balance. That means Kellen Moore needs to have some kind of balance this year with this Cowboys offense. Another thing, will it be predictable? Will it be predictable? We just stated, when they was in the shotgun, they were throwing it 73% of the time. When they was on the center, they was running it 71% of the time. So that's too predictable. Will the offense be predictable? And can we get more creativity out of Kellen Moore? I think he's going into his fourth full season as the offensive coordinator. He need to be a little bit more creative. They talked about here, and like we always say, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. But can we be more creative with Tony Pollard in that offense? Because I say get Zeke and Pollard on the field together. Somehow, some way. You could put Pollard in the slot. You could put them both lined up in the backfield, split back formation, whatever the case may be. But you need to throw off the defense. You got to throw out the defense somehow. Because if you're predictable, offense is not going to work, in my opinion. Can we get more creativity? Kellen Moore, you're going to see what, your fourth full season as offensive coordinator? Hey, buddy, just like this seat I'm sitting on is getting kind of warm, that seat getting kind of warm for you, buddy. Hey, Jerry not getting any younger. He's trying to hold up another Lombardi trophy, as you can see behind me. As you can see behind me, we trying to get more of these Lombardi trophies. So we need to get more creativity, Kellen Moore. Get my man Tony Pollard and Zeke on the field at the same time. And also, last but not least, can the Cowboys average 30 to 35 points a game? With that being said, we need 6 instead of 3s. So we need touchdowns instead of field goals. You can't win with constantly kicking field goals. You have to put points on the board. So can the offense average 30 to 35 points a game? Like I said, we need 6 instead of 3. We were talking about 40 burger last year with the type of offensive weapons we had. Can we score points? Hey, it's been a pleasure talking to you sports fans. Training camp is right around the corner. I can't wait. Hey, about to see what these Cowboys go do. See how this offense go evolve this year. Hey, I can't wait to see it. Don't forget to hit the big red subscribe button and comment in the comment section below and tell me what you think. Hey, you've been listening to the Time Out with Just Sports podcast with your man, the one and only Jeffrey L. Mangan Jr. Hey, I'm out. Peace.